So it looks like we're getting a new Mystique action figure from the X-Men 90s animated Marvel Legends line. But is this one any good? Is she accurate? And is she worth your money? Be sure you stick around until the end, soulmates, because we're going to talk about what character we want to see next in this line. If you support what I do, please click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video of mine when it comes out. Mystique is an odd character because she's actually gotten a fair number of action figures over the years, but they were all kind of low-key, and unless you were very aware of how many she had, you wouldn't really think about it. The first action figure I believe she ever had was from Toy Biz in their Monster Armor line, and this was from a crazy line where all the X-Men came with a bunch of pieces of armor that made them into monsters and stuff. The next 6-inch action figure we got of Mystique was of course from the X-Men movie wave made by Toy Biz, and this was before Toy Biz made all their advancements in articulation during the Marvel Legends era, so this is a pretty stiff looking action figure with some very bizarre articulation points. Sometime after that, Mystique saw a release in the Marvel Legends line. This came during the Sentinel wave, and this was an okay action figure. Of course, all the lady action figures that Toy Biz made during this era were not the best action figures, and Mystique is somewhere in the middle of the quality of all those. Like a lot of their other action figures, the proportions were a little messed up, and the hips didn't really move all that well. Moving forward, there's been a few other Mystique releases over the years, but the one that we all know and love, the classic Mystique, the next time we saw her was in a Walgreens exclusive release. This one came on the standard women's body at the time, and she also came with a couple of guns and a couple of heads. All in all, this one was a decent little package, and it was a better quality action figure than the one that was released by Toy Biz. That said, this one does feel a little generic considering the women's body that they're using here. This one's a pretty popular release, and you're gonna have a hard time picking it up for a reasonable price these days. Which brings us to the new 90s animated Mystique that's coming soon, but how accurate is this one to the cartoon that it's supposed to be based on? Well, looking it over, I can say that the details on Mystique herself are fairly accurate for the most part. When I look closely, the boots look right, the gloves look right, because they're much different from what we see in the comics and on previous Mystique releases. The one thing that strikes me the hardest on Mystique herself is the belt, because if you look at her belt on X-Men the Animated Series, there are some little tusks at the bottom of them that are not present on the skulls of the belt on the action figure. The belt on the action figure just looks like a bunch of skulls, and they're also too tightly clustered together compared to the belt that Mystique wears on X-Men the Animated Series. I am pleasantly surprised to see that the little gun that she has is fairly accurate to what we see in one of the scenes from the cartoon. Although the big gun she has, I don't know what scene that's from. I guess it's just something that's nice to have. Although I would have really liked to have seen a different gun that she used in another scene instead of the big rifle. Something else about the accuracy of this that stuck out to me is the baby. This baby that she comes with is supposed to be Nightcrawler as a baby, of course. But this is actually the baby that came with the Old Man Logan set. And the baby that we see here is not exactly an accurate stand-in for what we see from X-Men the Animated Series, because Nightcrawler on that series as a baby has a much thinner face, but the baby here has a much rounder face. And also it comes with a pacifier, but Nightcrawler as a baby, when Mystique is carrying him in that scene, he doesn't have a pacifier. Another difference that really sticks out is the hair, because the hair on Baby Hulk is much different from the hair we see on Baby Nightcrawler. Baby Nightcrawler's hair on X-Men the Animated Series is much messier, much flatter. This one has too much body to it. So all in all, while Mystique is a fairly accurate representation of how she looked on X-Men the Animated Series, Baby Nightcrawler definitely is not. Aside from the accuracy, looking at Mystique, she's just another repaint like all the other action figures. Of course, they're just going to take the previous Mystique action figure, which used the old standard women's body. I don't hate it. As usual, I wish they would have done a little bit more with it, but it looks okay. My least favorite thing about this one, other than Baby Nightcrawler, is the cel shading. As usual, it looks bad. They need to get rid of it, and it's on her and Baby Nightcrawler. Like all the other action figures, there doesn't seem to be any discernible light source they're trying to think of when they're applying all these shadows. They're kind of just all over the place. The other thing I really don't like about this one is the head sculpt. It feels off to me. I think one of the reasons that it bothers me as much as it does is that the face looks a little too round. It doesn't really look like Mystique from the animated series because she had a pretty thin face on the show. Considering that she has Baby Nightcrawler here, I wish she had a more concerned head along with a more angry head. I think having those two heads in the package would have really completed this, especially considering that this is probably going to be a $28 action figure. It's going to look awfully weird having her with such an angry head while she's holding the baby, but on the other hand, this package does come with a decent amount of stuff, especially considering the other Marvel Legends that we've gotten in the 90s animated line. Some of them haven't had any accessories at all. Is this one worth your money? I don't know that I personally really need this one, but some people out there are probably really wanting a Mystique action figure, especially with the inflated prices of the Walgreens one, so this might be worth it. The only other crowd I see being interested in this one is casual fans who have a passing familiarity with X-Men the Animated Series. Well, now that we know we're getting Mystique, who do we want to see next? Personally, I said it once, I've said it twice, I'll say it again. I want to see an updated Magneto. I want to see the ultimate Magneto action figure. Let's see a new Magneto, and I hope he's the definitive Magneto. Well, Soulmates, what do you think of this Mystique action figure? Is this one that you have to have for your collection? Are you going to skip it entirely because you're not that into Mystique, or maybe you're not that into the X-Men? Or are you on the fence because of the inaccuracies I mentioned earlier? I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and be sure to let me know what character you want to see next in this line. If you'd like to learn more about the X-Men Retro Apocalypse that was just revealed, that's based on X-Men the Animated Series, you can watch that video here.